The reason you feel financially fragile right now isn't your bank balance. It's the quiet pressure sitting behind it, the feeling that even when the numbers look acceptable, your nervous system still doesn't believe you are safe. It's a phenomenon called financial imposter syndrome. It's that private fear that no matter how hard you work or how much you earn, you still feel like one unexpected expense could expose how unstable everything really feels. 50% of Americans report feeling financially stressed right now. So if you feel heavy, tired, or constantly on edge about money, you are not failing alone. You are feeling what millions of people are carrying in silence, even when we are working harder than ever. That is what makes this so exhausting. The effort is real, the hours are real, the sacrifice is real, and yet the emotional reward still feels strangely absent. The average consumer is burdened by 12 monthly subscriptions, tiny charges scattered quietly across the month, adding up in the background while pretending to be harmless. Over 60% of us report feeling subscription fatigue. Because it is not just about the money. It is the emotional weight of feeling nickeled and dimed by a life that was supposed to feel easier. We are being bled by sleeping dogs, subscriptions we pay for but never use. Small leaks that sit quietly in the dark, draining confidence and reminding us that money can disappear without us even noticing. This is the doom spending trap. When the world feels unstable, uncertain, and too big to control, small purchases can start to feel like emotional relief, even when they quietly deepen the stress we are trying to escape. 43% of millennials use small luxuries to cope with macro stress. Not because they are careless, but because when the future feels overwhelming, a small comfort can feel like the only reward available today. It's the lipstick effect, trading the big dream for a small indulgence. When home ownership, freedom, or long-term security feel too far away, we reach for something small we can actually hold in our hands. But a new movement is rising, the good enough life. A quieter way of living that stops chasing perfection and starts asking a far more powerful question. What is actually enough for me to feel peaceful again? It's about opting out of hustle culture for personal well-being. About no longer sacrificing your nervous system just to look successful in a world that keeps moving the goalposts. 62% now value balance over a high salary, because more people are realizing that a bigger paycheck means very little if it comes at the cost of sleep, presence, health, and peace. This is the quiet pivot. The moment you stop performing financial success for the outside world and start rebuilding your life around what actually feels stable on the inside. The first step is the subscription decoupling, a simple but powerful act of reclaiming control by separating what truly supports your life from what has been quietly feeding on it. Streaming prices jumped 25% in a single year, which means even your so-called low-cost comforts are quietly becoming another source of pressure in an already stretched household. U.S. store brand sales reached a record $271 billion because people are waking up to the fact that value matters more than branding when real life starts getting tighter. Even high earners are switching to retailers like Aldi, not as a symbol of struggle, but as a sign of clarity, a refusal to overpay just to preserve an image. There is no compromise on quality, only a gain in value. And for many households, that shift feels less like cutting back and more like finally getting smarter with every dollar. Your household goods are not disposable. They are liquid assets. What sits quietly in your home may already contain untapped value. If you stop seeing everything as clutter and start seeing it as optional capital, IKEA is now helping customers sell to each other directly. A clear signal that even major brands understand the future belongs to reuse, circulation, and value recovery. You can choose cash or a 15% bonus in store credit, which turns ordinary possessions into something more strategic, a way to create breathing room without earning a single extra dollar. 1/3 of all clothing purchased is now secondhand, because more people are letting go of status buying and choosing value, sustainability, and realism instead. This is how you close the gap. Not always through some dramatic leap in income, but through dozens of quiet decisions that reduce waste, increase control, and slowly rebuild confidence. For Sarah, the relief didn't come from a raise. It did not come from a promotion. a bonus, or some perfect financial breakthrough that changed everything overnight. It came from paying off just $1,000. Because sometimes the biggest emotional shift in money is not growth. It is removing one source of pressure that has been stealing your peace every single month. The need-first mentality is driving us toward bulk buying, a more grounded way of thinking that puts essentials, planning, and resilience ahead of impulse and image. DIY is the new economic survival strategy, not because everyone suddenly loves being handy, but because fixing, learning, and adapting now feel cheaper than outsourcing everything. The no-buy movement is a form of voluntary frugality, a conscious pause that says, I do not need to keep proving I am okay by purchasing something new. Rest is a form of self-assertion against overconsumption. Because every time you refuse the pressure to spend, hustle, upgrade, or perform, you take back a small piece of your life. Wealth is the distance between your needs and your stress. The smaller the gap between what you truly require and what you constantly worry about, the more powerful and peaceful your financial life becomes. The FIRE movement relies on the 4% rule of sustainability, a reminder that financial freedom is not built on chaos. It is built on math, restraint, and a structure that can actually hold over time. Sustainability is becoming an affordable service. What used to feel niche or expensive is slowly becoming practical, mainstream, and financially sensible for ordinary households. Nearly half of us could manage a $2,000 surprise expense, which means the other half are still living with the quiet fear that one normal disruption could destabilize everything. Discretionary spending is pulling back globally. People everywhere are becoming more cautious, more selective, and more honest about what they can no longer afford to waste. Food is the most resilient category in the 2026 budget. Because when life becomes uncertain, households always return to the basics: nourishment, routine, and the things that genuinely matter. Calculations and consistency are the path to independence. Not intensity, not performative discipline, just clear numbers, repeated habits, and enough patience to let the system work. The lipstick effect is moving towards smart alternatives. People are still looking for comfort, but now they are trying to find it in ways that feel less reactive and more sustainable. Reclaim your sleeping dog money today, because hidden leaks do more than drain cash. They quietly erode your sense of control, and control is what calm is built on. You don't need more, you need good enough. More income, more options, and more stuff do not automatically create peace if your system still feels unstable. Simplified living starts with choosing quality time, choosing fewer pressures, fewer unnecessary decisions, and more of the moments that actually make life feel rich. This is your week to start. Not when everything is perfect, not after one more stressful month, but now while the cost of waiting is still quietly accumulating. Transparency is demanded when global policies shift. Because when the world changes around us, households need clarity, not spin, and simple truths matter more than ever. Upcycling adds value to what was once broken, and that idea applies to more than objects. It applies to habits, homes, routines, and even the way we rebuild our relationship with money. The shift is from status to authenticity, away from looking wealthy and toward feeling stable, honest, and genuinely secure in your day-to-day life. A need-first mentality is the future of wealth, because the next era of financial strength will belong to people who know the difference between what looks good and what actually holds. Financial freedom is not achieved through misery. It is not about punishment, deprivation, or making life smaller. It is about reducing friction, so peace becomes easier to keep. You are closer than you think. Sometimes the distance between stress and stability is not years of sacrifice. It is a handful of smart decisions repeated with intention. Money made quiet, that is the real goal. Not louder wealth, but calmer wealth. Not performance, but peace. Start your pivot today, not with pressure, but with clarity. One small decision at a time, until your financial life begins to feel lighter, steadier, and finally your own.